Oh, you can either start or not.
Hey, Jim. Hi, Jim.
How you doing?
How are you?
I'm well, I'm well.
Good. All right, so we're gonna call the Conservation Committee meeting to order.
Works for me.
Look for you, and I see you gave me my script here. You didn't like it last time. My name is Michael DiLorenzo, and I'm the chairman of the Berlin Conservation Commission.
Can you hear Jim?
Yes,
Okay, because we were having trouble when we tested the microphone. Thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Not at all. As indicated in the agenda for this meeting, this is an in-person meeting with remote access available through Zoom, video and conference call. Access information was provided and posted on the town website for the commission members, applicants, and other interested parties to participate. For those joining remotely, I would ask that you mute your device if you are able to, so that we don't get any background noise or interference. When it's time for individuals to speak, I will ask you to unmute yourself, unmute and identify yourself. And if a number of people ask to speak at the same time, we'll just ask that you be patient until your turn. Two important reminders: every time you speak, please state your name and title for the record if you have a title. Second, let's be careful not to speak over one another so that everyone who's listening can hear what is being said and we can have a clear record. For this reason, the roll call will be called as needed. Also, this meeting is being recorded and the recording will be posted on the town's website. I'll now ask famous Maureen to take attendance by calling the roll call. Thank you.
Michael DiLorenzo,
Present.
Tom Heisler, Guy Hoffman. Excuse Carl Lewis,
Present.
Karen Pagliaro, you said asked to be excused. Mary Catherine LaRose. And Robert Ramsey. Oh, I hear a door though.
I hear a door.
No, okay, well, we tried. Four, I believe four is a quorum.
Yes.
Four is a quorum. You're good. I might suggest, I do not see that for the Pistol Creek item is on the agenda, is present, that gentleman. So you may want to rearrange the agenda for the recreational trails grant to be discussed first. And I've also would ask for a motion to add the community gardens to the end of the use of town lands section. So
Second. All in favor? Aye. So, moved. Thank you. And do we have to make it formal to move Jim up to number one before we do everything? Anything
you
else?
should.
Okay, so Jim's got to go upstairs to the council meeting, so we need a motion to move number two, recreational trails grant of the city of Middletown up to the first item to be discussed before anything else.
Second.
Thank you, Mary Catherine. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Thank you. Okay, Jim. Oh, is this the Four Rod Road? Is that on the
It is.
Yes,
It
it
is
is.
down further, yep.
Thank you.
okay. Jim Mahoney, Economic Development Director. Just wanted to start talking about this Pistol Creek Limitation Mountain Recreational Trails Grant. I think you probably all remember that we applied last year. This was with the city of city of Middletown joint application, and we did not get funding last year. We did have a debrief with DEEP recently, and it was encouraging. We were kind of close to the cutoff score. We got some pointers. We contested some areas where we think we deserve some points. So we're kind of optimistic about going, taking another shot at it. And just quick refresher, we're going to be doing some of the remaining cart paths at Pistol Creek. We want to make a connection between Pistol Creek and the trailhead for the Metabesset Trail at Stantec Road and Spruce Brook. Middletown's going to be doing cart path work there, and they're going to be doing some other work, which I guess if we show the next slide, or and that if you have other maps, yes. Okay, so the last time they were proposing the cross trail to get from Atkins Street to what's the Stantac Road right away. And that we're dropping from this application. Some concerns, it was really close to it, adjacent properties, et cetera. Rome wasn't built in a day, so we'll take it a step at a time. So the idea is we drop that. Middletown has to decide exactly, they might, do some parking on Atkins Street nearer to their, cart pass. We'll see how that goes. But, again, they're making some improvements. We would make some improvements on the Metabessa Trail. There's been already some improvements that have been made by the Berlin Land Trust and CFPA. Did some bog bridge work not too long ago. Woody is also doing, constructing some bog bridges with extra lumber they had left over from, I think, some other bridges they were doing at Pistol Creek. So he's putting that together. And we're going to do some additional bog bridges as needed in that area and trail improvements. Since last year, Berlin Land Trust also did another trail on their property that's over in Middletown. So there's additional trails out there. And yeah, I mean, so the X marks that section that I was talking about that we're deleting from this application. And we'll work through further details, but I think you probably all know that, this Metabessa Trail, which is part of the New England National Scenic Trail, is now a national park. So that's pretty exciting. And, again, we've made, I know Meriden also doing some work beyond that in Jafrita Park and has some aspirations. And we're also trying to coordinate about how the multi-use trail, they're looking at connecting the multi-use trail from Portland through Middletown and Meriden to get to the Farmington Valley Trail in Cheshire. So it's relatively near this, they tell me. VHB is a consultant, they got some funding for it. So I'm, hopefully soon I'll have some maps that I can share with you, but I haven't really seen anything. So general trail improvement in this area, connection of Pistol Creek to Lamentation Mountain, and refreshing everybody's memory. Last year, both Berlin and Middletown acquired portions of the former Pistol Creek golf course. So now the entire golf course is under ownership of the two towns. And the other thing, well, the two other things that I'm looking at as possibles for this application are to do some additional, let's say, accessibility improvements for whether, in a broad sense. So it may be for the hearing impaired, or looking at, where areas where we might not have the wheelchair grades, which we have in one section, but we would have, let's say, gentle enough slopes so that people on wheelchairs, many people on wheelchairs could navigate, or with some assistance, and things like that. So I don't have the details, but we're just kind of thinking about that, and also thinking about, whether we could just have some kind of a, cut a little trail just along Atkins Street on the Berlin property, which is west of Atkins Street, because of the, it's kind of the highest point on the property, and views are very nice from there. So that's kind of what our thinking is. We wanted to clue you guys in. I'm going to the council later tonight. Two things. One, we need some matching funds, so I want to see if they would support that. And also want to know if they're in support of the application before we start charging into it. Just starting to work on it with Middletown. The application deadline's March 11th. So we got some time, but not that much time. So just trying to get bolster the support. And if everything goes according to plan, I guess I would ask that the Conservation Commission host a public information session on the project at your next meeting, like we did last year. So that's basically it. Happy to answer any questions.
Carl Lewis, you had a question?
Yeah, Carl Lewis. I'm wondering, last time we looked at this project, I'm aware that there was some landowner,
Yeah,
opposition to what you called the, Rome wasn't built in a day trail.
Yeah,
And I'm wondering if that, if that is why we're not considering that right now, or is there a substantive reason why not consider that? Which seems like a pretty cool,
yeah, I mean, I think it's, we're trying to take it a step at a time. If we get this whole Pistol Creek, trail system back active, both sides, make the improvements on the Mattabesset. Middletown owns the piece. At the end of the day, it's their call. This is where we're at the moment. So we'll see how it goes. They may change their course, but that's where we are right now.
but that is on public, that is on public property.
It is.
Okay, thanks.
so Jim, is the red X mean that entire connection there is off? That's what we're talking about, right?
Right, that connection is off this application.
Because
Because
goes
it,
around
again,
property-
there
private
was
property owner?
there was a few property owners that were opposed in that area. It goes pretty close to the property line. There's a lot of wetlands in that area, so that's where we're at.
I'll just note that that is in Middletown,
Yeah,
Yes,
so that's.
okay, interesting. So beyond that, is it essentially gonna be a similar application from last year?
yeah, I think, like I said, similar. The two things that I'm looking at adds are, like I said, kind of this accessibility piece, if we can figure that out. And then possibly just a footpath along Atkins Street. We're not doing those cart paths repave as part of this project. We're kind of taking it a bite at a time. But with that, with the views from there, if it's kind of easy pickings to punch it, to cut a trail along the road, not on the road, obviously, but right on that section, then we're going to look at that too.
When you say ADA accessibility do you mean essentially, do you have to pave the paths?
Well, again, we have one section of that north of Spruce Brook that is ADA accessible through the last project where we have the handicapped accessible parking space, not that whole loop, just the center portion of it. Yeah, go straight north from there. And yeah, that section in there. And in order to be fully, like an ADA accessible, you got to have slope of 1 inch per foot or less. So, obviously the grades in a lot of these areas are more than that. And so we're just kind of looking to see what we can do to extend areas of accessibility. And there's a whole, I'm kind of doing a little bit of research on it, but I've read and watched programs with different folks that are handicap advocates. I shouldn't even use that word, but able, kind of able, that folks that might be in a wheelchair, for example, there's a lot of people in a wheelchair that can handle something more than a 1 inch and a foot grade and would benefit from the trails there because they're paved and they can do it, right? And so, not just kind of looking at it in a little broader perspective than just strict, ADA requirements. And like I said, I mean, it could be also, some braille signage, for example. We know we got some benches out there. We've got a lot of, birds, and people like the bird out there. So we got a lot of bird song, and, so there's, I don't know exactly yet. I'm still trying to research it and understand a little bit. If I can get to an understanding and come up with some things in time, then we'll put them in. If not, we'll tuck them away and we'll take a shot at it in the future. But it's something that's on my mind to try to enhance that aspect of the, and make it more universally, accessible to people.
And you also mentioned, hard of hearing, is that, like you were thinking stations or something where somebody could have a QR code and,
Yeah, I mean, it could be, again, we have benches and stuff, and I'm thinking about like, for example, like I said, bird watching. So if you have a bench and you have, maybe you have a braille sign and it tells
Okay.
you about the physical environment and the types of birds that you might, hear there or something, and just kind of expanding the people that could enjoy the park.
sure. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Well, I'll say the same thing that I think I said last year, is that I think it's gotta be a winner because of just the collaboration between the municipalities is a great thing. And the connecting to the national trail is, it's gotta be another real good, thing on the side of the, success, I would say, for the grant. So I think you have our wholehearted support
And thank you for all the work that you've done.
always.
Well, Carl helped me out, scout some of that stuff out too. So thanks to Carl, and I keep on calling him to check things out for me, and he and Woody and different people. So thanks to all. It's a team. It's a village. We're working on it, but we're chipping away. And again, we had a good debrief. Hey, you never know, right? You never know what the competition is going to be like or whatever. But I think this accessibility thing would, if we can develop something there, will be a plus for the project and plus for the scoring. And I'd be really interested in seeing what we could do there. And yeah, I think for a lot of reasons, it's just makes a lot of sense. And again, we are enthusiastic because, as I said, Meriden interested in doing things at the south end, the Jeffrey Park, and the whole multi-use trail connection. And so, it's all part of a long-term vision, but to get the towns working together, start to make the improvements. And, I think the key was the fact that, we have this great resource at Pistol Creek that's so close to the trailhead. We have a lot of parking there, and parking is obviously in short supply. And, there's different kinds of, hiking that can be done from there. And some of those, the trails that don't show on this map that Land Trust has done. So, and, some loop trail up there. So there's just, there's a lot of resources there. That's the connection, that we're looking to try to make. Remember, I think at the meeting last year, we had a couple of folks that, were the property owners that had questions, and I didn't hear anybody that like shut the door on us. So I think that this is still a go, but we'll see what kind of feedback we get this year when we send out notices. And and that parking space is already there at Atkins Street, but it's pretty, rough. And so dress that up a little bit, put a sign, stuff like that. So, it's all kind of incremental long-term, but if we can get this grant, it would be a big push forward, I think, especially for the Pistol Creek portion itself with the cart pass and that.
We need a motion.
Well, when do you need the formal support?
You could do it at the next meeting if you want. I just wanted to kind of get you guys in the loop,
You could do it now.
You can do it now, and then when I go to the council later, I can say the Conservation Commission supports it. And, we do have we have a matching requirement. I'm talking to the council about matching funds.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about several grants and matching funds, and we had asked in the budget that they set up a grant match account that didn't get funded. We're asking for, for that account to get funded again. We'll see. And then the fallback position is that we would do what we said we were going to do last time, which is, payment in lieu of open space funds, because we do have funds in that account that could provide the match. And then would hope that
Oh.
next year they fund a grant match account or whatever, but, you know, be a good problem to have if we get this project funded and done.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
I'd like to make a motion that the Conservation Commission support the recreation trail grant in conjunction with the city of Middletown for the upcoming, I assume it's 2024 grant
Correct.
proposal application as outlined by Mr. Mullin.
Second.
Catherine, thank you. Any comments? All in favor of the motion as put forward? Aye, so moved, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Go get them upstairs.
Yeah, well, I got 10 minutes. I'll hang with you guys for a while.
Have fun. Oh,
I'll put myself on mute though. Call me.
Thank you.
And
We have,
given that Jim, if you don't mind, given that Jim is staying on for a few minutes, I'm wondering if you want to move the trail updates
sure,
up so that he can,
do the same thing, we got 10 minutes.
yeah, he may have.
I'd like to make a motion that we move trail updates to right now on the agenda.
Second.
Mayor Catherine, thank you.
Sorry.
All in favor? Aye. So moved.
So really that's, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, you introduced the item.
Okay. Post storms, trail repairs and sign damage and repair,
So.
specifically Ragged Mountain, Westland, the board map there. Yes.
Yeah, so after the trails, or after the storms that were, I think at the end of November, early December, there was quite a bit of trail damage. It was called to our attention by CFPA and others. CFPA did a lot of the repair work. They were working on it and just wanted everybody to know and to also, alert anyone. I think we might have sent out an email, but if you're out on trails, you notice things, please, make sure you let us know so that we can either work with CFPA and or our grounds crew to do what they need to. We've been working with Vital Signs on finishing up some signs, getting repairs to signs, as well as Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't read that email in a while, but CFPA was doing one of the signs at Ragged Mountain as well, correct?
Well, they were interested in, if we were gonna redo that sign or put another sign out there to do a, collaboration with us and, kind of, prominent, nice new sign out there. The one that's out there is kind of historic, so I don't know if you wanna, we're gonna keep that and restore it, but they were interested in kind of modernizing. And, so I would think we should collaborate with them, and so we'll just continue the dialogue and as that goes along, but they are interested in investing in that.
Yeah, Carl Lewis.
Carl Lewis, I agree that sign needs totally to be replaced. I don't know when that was from. Seems like it was from the 80s to me, but it's
Long
probably-
time.
Kiosk.
So it needs to be, and CFPA has offered to help us with, it needs to be new kiosk that is also, kind of state of the art when it comes to, like being graffiti resistant, because that is the place in town that gets the most amount of use.
That's true.
Of all of our open space. So it should be modular in the sense that those trails change sometimes, so they need to, if there's gonna be a trail map there, it needs to be able to be changed. And also, it's just people, graffiti the sign, so it should be, yeah, right, exactly. What a beautiful, that's coming the opposite way. So I don't think we have to say too much more about that, Jim, except we're gonna support right now the idea of making that happen, right?
Yeah, we'll work on it and get back, be back in touch with the commission. And then we did have Berlin Land Trust made a donation for a bench at that location in memory of Frank Harvey. Public Grounds has built a bench, and that's going to be put out there, shortly. We're just kind of asking Land Trust for, you know, their idea about where we ought to place it. And then we'll get it out there.
Okay. I have to imagine CFDA's got.
There's the bench.
There's the
Yeah.
bench, yeah.
X for signs like that.
Yeah, they do, you know. I mean, nothing's like totally like,
I
uh,
know,
uh,
perfect.
perfect. But that one is an old sign.
Yes,
And, you know, like it's got engraved or what are they called?
the wood burning. one.
Yeah, right, so let's do something that's a little bit more resistant. Any thoughts?
Maybe send that one to the Historical Society. Put it against the wall, you won't be able to see the back, so it'll be fine.
That's true.
And I said, I think, you know, it should have, everywhere else in town has, you know, kind of like our open space branding to it, you know, that should have.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have theirs. You can see the little oval down there.
Yeah.
So,
That thing's old though, it's really old.
yeah, you can see that. Please keep it clean, except for the back of the sign. Yeah, that's a great idea, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, we'll work on it.
Okay.
Keep working.
Yes. And we did on other trail things. I mean, we have new, I don't know, didn't talk to Maureen about it today, but we, you know, we've gotten some, you know, that mapping done for the new trail connection that we wish for between Ragged and Timberland, now that we've, you know, got the revision to the path, to the right of way revised with the help of Carl, to GPSed it for us when he hiked out there with the guys. And so step by step, but the next step is we got to figure out what we got to do to build that trail. We have some wet areas and stuff, and get it done. So that's on our long range vision. And maybe next year's trail grant or something would be appropriate there. And we're also, you know, again, started talking to CFBA about, you know, getting them interested in that project, because you know, I think it's an alternate, you know, connection to Ragged Mountain. It could be a loop trail, but also if some property owners up on Short Mountain or whatever, you know, block their existing path of the trail, this would be an alternate route also. So I think it's a win-win. We bought the property for that purpose on Reservoir Road. So we'll work at trying to get this thing done.
No, we see that. That's evident. Good. Anybody else have any trail related questions?
I
Yeah.
think they finished also the relocation of, or almost finished the trailer relocation out in the Blue Hills Conservation Area. So that get the trail out of the front yards and all that stuff. So that is also done or is almost done. So that's another plus.
I believe it's done. I think
Done,
we
yeah.
got that it was completed.
Yeah, I lost track, but yeah, I think you're right.
Good. Good.
Yeah, we asked them to GPS it. I mean, I haven't seen that yet, but we got to get it on. We get the revised route on our maps and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you can't promote it till it's on there. Yeah.
And I guess the other thing is we had that connection between Town Hall and Percival Field. And we did the bridge, you know, in back of the Housing Authority property, et cetera. And then they redid the soccer field. We wanted to kind of run a trail along the perimeter of that. Didn't have enough money in the project. Ends up the sprinklers are all the way out to the edges and stuff. So what we worked out is just, you know, the drainage is better now. Hopefully it's not going to be underwater half the time. And so we'll just put it on the maps, tell people, you know, they can walk across, try to ask them to stay on the edge of the, you know, stay on off the field, but people will walk where they want to walk. But again, it's all done. So you can get from here to there. And we also got a sidewalk grant in the fall that will, you know, 780,000, but it'll include the sidewalk on Percival Avenue from Carbo Lane to the entrance to Percival Field. So, you know, kind of finishing up that connection.
Good. That's a
I
lot.
think that's all I got.
That's a lot.
Is that it?
I think so. I'll try to do better next time.
Yeah.
If it doesn't flood tonight, by the way, it's not gonna
Yes.
flood.
All right, well, somebody go check it tomorrow and we'll see.
No flooding.
All right,
please,
good luck
no flooding.
upstairs. Thanks.
All right, thanks to all.
Good to see you, Jim. Thank you.
Thanks,
Good to see
Jim.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So now it does appear as though the
Yes.
guests
Sarah.
have arrived.
Okay, so we'll get them up, but do you want to, have you introduced?
Oh, so, no, well, I did before you came in,
Oh, you
for those that were already here.
Okay.
But this is, just so everybody knows, this is Alexa Gorlick. She's our new assistant town planner. And, while we think as we're gonna move forward, I'll probably continue to come to Conservation Commission meetings. Trying to have her meet everyone, but also be able so that we can be fluctuate if we need to. And somebody has a week off, somebody has a day off, somebody's sick, other people, the rest of the staff can step in as well. So Alexa, and we're really excited to have her here.
So are we, thank you. Okay, so we have a little bit of housekeeping and then looks like we have some, well, you know what?
You can go right back to that one. We can do the others after.
All right, we'll do the audience of citizens. So, hi,
How are you?
welcome. So, for the record, if you can tell us who you are and we'll get you right on because we like to get our guests. Is
I believe they're number one, the Pistol Creek.
that what it
I
is?
believe
Oh,
so.
they're all Pistol Creek,
I believe so.
people?
First name Chris, last name Thomas.
Hi, Chris.
Thanks for having
This is it. You're welcome. Just for Marlo.
Toby Schneider.
You got it?
S D N A J. And I'm on my separate.
Rob Lemire. And I am not a founder.
All right, so before we get to you as number one, that little bit of housekeeping, so we didn't have a meeting last month, but we have November's meeting minutes that need to be accepted, formally accepted.
Motion that we accept the minutes.
Right, Austin, thank you.
Second.
Okay. Any comments? Anybody see anything? I know it was 2 months ago. Okay, all in favor of accepting November minutes? Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Well, one, you abstained because you weren't here, is that what? That was what that was? One abstention, thank you.
Good catch.
Okay, all right, welcome. So tell us why you're here and we're all ears.
Thanks for having us. It's entertaining this. Sure, that's what I was just gonna ask.
Oh, you want me to bring it up
For
now?
That presentation. Yeah. Supported it. So, my name's Rob Lemire. I live in Old Sabre, Connecticut, but I've been building disc golf courses for different towns for the last 5 years, volunteering my time, efforts, really to build a community of disc golf for the state, so we can start introducing the sport in the schools as a club sport, as the long-term game plan, but also offering it as a recreational activity that helps bring the open space. Recreation opportunities for all ages, because disc golf is not age discriminatory, much like ball golf. Laugh at me, I call it ball golf. But it's much like that, so it's not age, weight, power, height, agility based sport. It offers a recreational opportunity for kids that might not gravitate towards those higher agility sports in towns, soccer, football, that might gravitate towards video games or more sedentary activities. This is a sport that brings you out into nature, gets them exposed to competing at something on an individual level, where they can practice, get better at something, stay perseverant, and dedicated to something to better themselves and create, like I said, that opportunity for them the outside and the recreational environment. So like I said, I was a Cub Scout leader for 10 years. It's kind of how I got turned on to the sport. Most of the scouts that I got, they're not gravitate towards sports. Usually you get the sports kids or the scouts. Sometimes you get both, but it's usually more one or the other. One takes over the other as they get older. But we really needed to instill some things with this, the scouts on an individual level. To practice at something, get better at something, take them out in the woods or take them outside, outside the, playing video games or anything. So in that, I found this golf. Started out in Killingworth, where I built my first course. There was a great town property underutilized. There was a couple of hiking trails, 300-acre property. There was already soccer fields in open areas, so it was a great opportunity to build one there. Pretty much self-funded that one outside of the baskets that were a quarter of the total funds needed. So we actually did some charity stuff and raised the money to build the rest of the course and as a community effort. I subsequently built 2 more for other towns, Salem, Connecticut, and Old Saybrook, the most recent one, where I built those, which were both town funded, which was great. And I'll have some of the cost perspectives in that later, but I just want to introduce you to what disc golf is. So those are not familiar. It's throwing a frisbee in the woods, typically, or out in some outside event, throwing at this chain link basket, which is the target. You have a tee pad just like you have in ball golf, and there could be several tee pads depending on ability levels, much like ball golf, where there's the red, blue, white, maybe a gold, depending on what kind of level that you're trying to draw your course and what it lends itself to. The great thing about disc golf is, it's typically in an outdoors environment. A lot of it in New England's around the woods. That's usually the parcels that the towns have. Crystal Creek's a lot different in that it's a fairly open property. It's very well maintained. I had a meeting with Jen, the assistant park director, and Steve, who I believe is your maintenance. I don't know his formal title.
He's grounds.
He does a fantastic job maintaining that property. I've walked it several times. It's a beautiful piece of property that I think lends itself very well to a course there for all ability and all ages because of the access with the trail system in and around it. Anytime you look at the design of the disc golf course, it's really around safety first and foremost. For a property that's utilized for other surfaces, it's really going to be designed around safety. So any existing trail systems out there, we would be designing around that. So there's not frisbees flying in the direction of people walking their dogs, or in those areas where people are going to frequent. Go to the next slide.
Yeah, so I made the PowerPoint. I printed off the PowerPoint.
Disc golf is the second fastest growing sport in the United States. It's second to pickleball. I'm sure you have some pickleball courts in town. Maybe?
Not yet.
No? Not yet? Yeah, I'm sure you have some people talking about that too. So it's the second fastest growing sport. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't quote the numbers on this. But it's a very fast growing sport. Look at the PDGA, which is the Professional Disc Golf Association, with some of its numbers. COVID has really changed dramatically in disc golf. We had about 60,000% increase in Connecticut of players. This is just ones registered with the PDGA. Not everybody registers with the PDGA, so this is maybe 5% of the disc golfers out there playing. The Connecticut numbers are really around the Facebook page and how many players that we have signed up for our community Facebook page for Connecticut Disc Golf. And that number is, I think, top link. This is 5,600. Yeah, it's 5,600 members. It's probably well under 5,000 when you really look at it for people that play the sport. There's approximately 60 courses in Connecticut. And they're all spread out, so. Okay. And there is a course in Wickham that was Wickham Park in Manchester. It's actually kind of unique because it's a private property, but it's looked at as a public park because you pay to get in there and utilize the services they have deal with this property. They run a tournament every year that some of the pro tour disc golfers come to play. So there is some attention to Connecticut disc golf. There's some historical perspective to it as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, so like I said, it's for all ages. You see the upper left-hand corner, that's my new course, in Old Sabre. I did a disc golf program, for the senior center there. So we had, some seniors come out that day to teach them how to play disc golf, and really, disc golf for a lot of people that can't throw, tremendous distances. It's a hike through the woods with a purpose, or just going out on a hike or a walk for the purpose, throwing a disc, in its simplest form. So, the other one is a young 7-year-old boy, that enjoys going out there playing with his family. There's not many sports that you can go out and actually play with your entire family. That warms my heart every time I've gone out to a course that I built and I see an entire family going out there, a couple kids, a husband and wife. It's a great activity for the family to go out there and play. There is a master's division here in the state. It's growing. So it's 50 and over. There's a lot of 50, 60, and 70-year-olds that are playing the game that compete at the at a competitive level in the state. And that Masters competitive series is growing every year. It literally just started a couple of years ago. There's always age divisions within the sport when you get to the competitive level, and those 40, 50, and 60-year-old age limits are actually filling up pretty well, as well as FPO or the female division. We're trying to get more females into the sport through organizing events. There's one I think you participated in, right? There's always, yes, so trying to find ways to get more females into the sport as well as kids to create junior divisions. Go ahead to the next slide.
Yeah, it did. Why did it do that? I went down. I said page down.
My ultimate vision, like I said, is really creating clubs within the school systems. It's just creating another recreational opportunity for kids that are either in between sports or just can fill the time in between the gaps of when they have practices or games. This one's an Old Sabre, just started it up. Most of these kids are playing some other sports, either soccer or football, a couple of basketball, but they have gaps to fill in between. So this is actually just between, this is the senior class. Old Sabre is a very small school, probably maybe 350 kids in the whole high school. I have just about 10% of the senior class in this club sport that go out and play every day after school. It's before their basketball practice or their track practice. They'll go out there and play around in disc golf very quickly. Generally, the way that they play much quicker than me at 52, but they can play a round of disc golf in about an hour and a half. So it's not like ball golf where it's a 4 to 5 hour round. They can be played very quickly. Casual level play. Tournament play is usually around 2 to 3 hours of a tournament level. So the great thing about the recreation is you can fit a lot of people on a course. It's not like a baseball or a soccer field where you're only fitting a small group of kids for a few hours a day. You can put 72 people on a disc golf course at a time and play hundreds within a day. The way that it plays, so you're only playing it an hour and a half to 2 hours to back of play. So ultimately, the goal is to get it as a club sport. Toby here is she's a teacher in town at the high school. She's had aspirations. You want to tell her?
Yes, so we started an Ultimate Frisbee Club and Ultimate Frisbee and Disc Golf kind of go hand in hand. Ultimate like in spring, Disc Golf Club would be in the fall. And we have a lot of kids, interested in starting a Disc Golf Club. The only thing that sucks is that we are in kind of a black hole, so it would be a lot to have the kids transport themselves over town to play, and that's been a big divisive factor on starting the club and also getting new people to play. Another aspect is I run the unified sports program at the high school, and a lot of my students are also very interested in disc golf. It's very easy to adapt. They're able to do it, even if it's just like a 9-hole loop or something simple. It gets them out of the house, which typically doesn't happen. It gets them active, which also typically doesn't happen. And it is a hobby for longevity, which is something disabled people don't typically have. So I've been getting them into the sport of disc golf, and they're super engaged.
Yeah, so the more courses we have in the region, it allows it to become more of a cohesive regional thing where we, now these clubs can compete against each other at 2 different courses in a smaller region. The closest course to here right now, central to Berlin, is about 20 minutes away in any direction. Go to the next slide. I think I have that. Hope that one
Did
happened.
it again. Why is my computer doing that?
This is just some food fodder. Wyatt Mahoney is a national champion, or excuse me, a world champion in his age division. He lives in Glastonbury. He's a great success. He started playing when he was about 7. He's 14 now. He wins major championships in the NPO division, which is the professional division, local professional division. But he's very well accomplished. He's the #1 disc golfer in the state amongst any age group, and he's 14. He is the #1 ranked disc golfer at 14 years old.
He was featured on ESPN last year for a week straight because hole-in-one is a big thing, just like ball golf. And he was going on holes that grown adults couldn't attempt to hit hole-in-one, since hole-in-one after hole-in-one. Great success for the state.
It's a testament to what sport is for. Like I said, it's not about power, height, agility based. It's practice, focus, timing, and concentration. So he's a great success that's local here. Last year. Next slide.
It's the same way, like there's a par or.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Should do so many shots or so many throws, like whatever you call it.
You can do that too.
Throw, and then.
Drop.
So there's a lot of material that goes to, there's discs, and most disc golfers, if you look in the bag, most disc golfers carry 20 discs in their bag. They all do something different. It's a very technical sport. There's a thing called stability in discs. So generally when you're a right-hand backhand player, it moves from right to left. It always usually finishes left, with the exception of some discs that are understable that move to the right. And sometimes, depending on their stability, holds to the right and dumps left, or just holds to the right the entire play. But they all do something different. And they're developed for people with different ability levels too. There's lower speed discs with slower arm speeds. There's faster speed discs for the more professionals that have a faster arm speed. There's different plastics. Different plastics cater to beginner players or intermediate or pro level players as well.
There are places available that you can buy on.
There's several.
Or is it on?
Nope,
The Dick's Sporting Goods, pretty much Amazon, the Clayton Sports, there's actually a few shops in Connecticut, one being in Silver.
dedicated disc golf, optics and things like that. So we like trees as disc golfers. Trees are obstacles. So generally when we're looking at fairways, it's outside of Crystal Creek because it's much open. The opportunities there are pretty much in the fairway areas, outside of maybe a couple of areas that are tucked in between the trees, but I don't see any tree cutting. I see more brush, brush work more than anything. Clearing out some of the underbrush. that supports, you know, the healthy mature trees. Maybe taking down some of the dead ones or the unhealthy ones, just because they might create a potential safety issue if they're already dead. But generally, disc golfers like trees. Fairways are designed through a natural path through the trees. There might be one or two trees taken. When I've looked at some of the fully 100% treed courses, it's a very, maybe then, on a 400-foot hole, I might have cut maybe 6 trees. A lot of it's the saplings that we're trying to create that natural path, that flow path for the flight of discs. So it's like, so that's a tee pad. That's a fairway. When you look at that, there was a lot of unhealthy trees. You can probably see some of the stumps, but they're, you know, generally speaking, when you're out in the woods and you see a disc golf course, you can't tell where the fairway is sometimes. You see foot traffic, maybe some trampled foot traffic where there's a hiking trail, but it blends in very well. Go ahead, the next slide. Yeah. You can create these aesthetic, you know, fairways, obviously this is fall time, around the outcroppings. Generally, when I look at disc golf course, I try to design around a feature that creates a great amenity, aesthetic amenity for the course. Aesthetic amenities in ball golf or disc golf, it's the same kind of thing. It kind of amplifies the whole, makes it more enjoyable. It makes you appreciate nature and the outdoor space that you're in. So try to design around all those features. That's just showing flight path. You can skip this one. Skip that one. We have, you know, signage. The left-hand one is the course map in the woods. You would have this at the kiosk, so it gives people understand, you know, where they're, if they want to create a shorter loop, because they don't want to play a full 18 holes. You can design loops that are shorter, or look at loops that are shorter if you want to come in on the kiosk. And then there's the T signs. You can get really elaborate with these T signs. There's one with a QR code that will actually show you a drone footage flight of the disc. That's a little advanced, but it's kind of a cool aspect of what you can do. Generally, the T signs, a general distance on a disc golf hole is in feet, not yards, like disc or like ball golf. So we're usually designing to something, par 3 is generally around 300 feet, 200 to 300 feet. Sometimes there are a tad over that. Par 4s get into the 500 foot level generally. So this kind of shows you there's an app called UDisc. Of course, there's an app. Someone created it, and it's got a lot of traction, but only about 25% of disc golfers use the app. Most people are going out more casually, but the app gives you not just keeping score, tracking your score historically, but it shows you all the local courses, no matter where your geography is. It shows you the courses on the map. So you can see here in Berlin, the red dot, any course that's close to us, the nearest one's going to be Southington at Canthorne, which is the town park there. The next one will be in Wallingford. It's called Loughbury. Bristol actually has 2 courses, Page and Rockwell Park, both are public parks. And then Killingworth would be the next closest one. Like I said, they're all about 20 minutes away. So there is a fairly big hole between you know, Berlin and some other towns where they have to leave.
What did you say the app was called?
So UDisc.
You, the letter U.
But just
So there are several courses in the state that are similar to Crystal Creek in that they're open park style courses with recreational activities, including picnicking, walking trails, hiking trails, dog walking trails. This is just a few of them, more of the historic ones. Wickham Park being number 1 on that. It's really Cranberry Park is probably the oldest, along with Sherwood Island. Sherwood Island is a state park actually down in
Westport.
which is all open between picnicking and people in the open park there. Cranberry is probably the highest trafficked area with dog walkers in the state, and it's also one of the oldest in the state. So they coexist very well. They have for, I think that's 2015, is that what it says? 1998. So for, yeah, for 25 years coexisted with dog walkers. And I've never seen more dog walkers in my 7 years of playing than Cranberry Park. So it's actually designed very well around create safety around the existing activity out there. Those courses are all 18. In some cases, we consider them 36 if they have 2 team pads. So you can play the longs or the shorts.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah,
it's
but it would
approved.
be your aim would be to the same place.
Sometimes you'll have 1 tee pad, 1 basket. Sometimes you have 2 tee pads, 1 basket. Sometimes you have 2 baskets, 2 tee pads. What I see in Pistol Creek would be 1 basket, potentially with 2 tee pads. So creating more of an intermediate and a beginner level is what I would see out there. The property from the space perspective, Jen and Steve discussed about using the north end as they run some programs on the southern end. In the summertime at camps, wouldn't be a great opportunity to use some of that southern end of the property because it would conflict with some of their summer programs that they might run. So utilizing that northern side, I would want to be able to do a beginner level and intermediate level for the distances that you have there.
That was a question I was gonna ask, was, because of the openness of it, it wouldn't be considered difficult. You know, that's gonna limit
There's things you can do to
the type of player that you're gonna attract.
There's things you can do to make them a different difficulty. I'll give you an example, putting out of bounds, right? Out of bounds, or we call them bandos, mandatory, where you have to go around an object. Yeah. It's mandatory, it creates, like if there's a safety concern with a path, for instance, I might put a mando in. So it creates a shot shape that prevents the disc from flying in a certain direction, because you have to go around an object. But from a difficulty standpoint, we'll get out of bounds, implementing out of bounds can really make a hole much more difficult. Now it becomes, you know, like a sand trap. You have a ball golf course and you just put a bunch of sand traps in a landing zone that's right in the middle. And it makes it very difficult. And the great thing is, as a casual player or a beginner, you don't have to play out of bounds. You can go out there and just throw the disc and not play out of bounds. If you don't want to, but if you're a casual player, it's not a play. And as they advance, they can actually start to utilize it.
But from a perspective of attracting a more experienced player, you'll see the groups that are out there. You'll have people who bring their nephew who's never played, and they'll be the most experienced player. Easy courses and difficult courses. The more experienced players, when they're looking to be competitive, they typically join a competition, and the competitions happen all over New England as well. So you will get all levels of playing type on every course. It's pretty. That way.
I have a list of questions. If, anybody else wants to jump
I have
in.
one question. So outside of the launching pad, which is you make a little modification or a little structure, let's call it that, and then you have the baskets. What other kind of physical alterations do you have to do to the landscape? Outside of what you just described about barriers or whatever you said, but those.
Mandos could be existing tree, could be just implementing a 4x4 post that goes up with a Mando sign on it. What I would envision here to help create better opportunities for safety is putting a lot of those kinds of out of bounds or mandatories. So they might be manufactured structures that is lumber, a post going up with a Mando sign to help control those shots. But outside of that, and potentially in a couple of areas where the basket might be tough, so like I said, some brush clearing in those areas. There is maybe one, area where, no, there's, rows at the first, all the walking trails are connected, with the paths. So there's really nothing besides the T-pad that's gonna be, I see, built, unless there's a feature, that, you might wanna build like, an elevated basket. I don't have a picture of it, but, if you can imagine one of those baskets, and you want to do a tiered, so you bring in some fill and you surround it in rocks and you build kind of a tiered system to the basket up to elevate it a little bit more, or creating some kind of natural element, that enhances the aesthetic. For me, I truly appreciate everything about nature. I don't like a lot of colors on courses, including signage. I showed a couple of examples. The courses that I built, outside of one, I like to use natural color, like wood, and I do image imprints that are just black and white, so it blends in. It's not an eyesore. It's not. It doesn't add anything out in nature, or inorganic elements anyway. But outside of that, I try to blend any kind of feature or aesthetic as natural as possible, Orlean rock, wood, things like that.
So none of the holes would be, well, I see it looks, they wouldn't be on any, or crossing any of the walking paths or the dog area or any place else where there's people that aren't participating in that?
Right,
So
so,
enough space for all that?
yeah, so from what I've seen from the usage out there and talking to Jen and Steve, outside of the dog park, people pretty much stay on the path, and walk around the path. A lot of the open areas, there's a couple of benches in a couple areas that might be used just for sitting, enjoying nature and watching the birds, and doing the hawks and things like that. But yeah, it wouldn't be interrupting the walking paths at all. It's actually kind of the challenge out there as a designer. It's designed around, because you have a lot of walking paths. And I did see that you were looking at potentially adding walking paths out there. There was a discussion. Maybe that's what you were just talking about, that southern part of the property, not this part. Because I think that there's a lot of walking paths out there. And if there was an opportunity, not saying there has to be, with this design that I came out with from a flow perspective, works really well with the existing pathways. If there's an opportunity to truncate a couple of pathways, I think we can enhance it a little bit better from a flow perspective, and also introduce a better flow for perhaps an older generation, because it might be a shorter walk if they want a truncated loop. And there's only a couple of spots where I've seen potentially truncated.
What do you mean by that? You mean like stopping existing walking
Yeah.
paths to change it to the disc golf? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. But this current design doesn't have that. Just like putting it out there, it might enhance the ability of playability out there. If there's one to move forward with it.
That's an actual path, right? On 15, 17. Probably.
That is, yeah. So if you look at that, where you see crossing those pathways, you're always take into account of visual. So any one of these, let's say, look at hole 15. Hole 15, you can see anybody coming on that pathway from the distance for safety. So you can see them coming from the east or the west side of that. And that's why that hole is designed that way. So anybody coming on that path, if someone's on that hole, they're not going to play it. They're going to wait for the person to walk. Passive hikers always have the right of way. We all know that in disc golf, that any passive recreation that's happening, they have the right of way. They would wait for that person to pass and then they go through it. So any of those crossings, it's really at 16 and I think 17, or excuse me, 15 and 17 that cross over that path. There's always a visual for those pathways, so someone can see they're walking.
I don't know what I did.
So, which brings a reminder to me that this is, if not the most popular, one of the most popular walking spaces in town. I'm gonna venture it's probably the most popular because of the access. Some ADA access, there's off-road parking, which we don't really have in a lot of places. A lot of dog walkers go there too, so it's a very popular, and it's easy because of the cart paths. That's one of the main reasons why, so that's a very important.
And does the high school still, track?
Yeah, the cross-country races there.
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing. So Wickham Park runs the state competition.
Right. Much bigger parcel.
Much bigger parcel, but believe it or not, their cross-country track goes right through the middle of this stuff.
Yes.
Multiple times, so,
Yeah, it's not, it wouldn't happen at the same time.
no, and so
You can always shut courses.
there's an announcement, you know,
Yeah.
the community, the disc golf community in general is a really polite community. They bring in what they take out, they tend to take more garbage than what they bring with them, there's very much nature people. You know, we like to see it that way, but when it comes to people picnicking or those types of things, they just go to the next hole. No one's there to try and create any sort of controversy. They want to see it work, it's free sport for them to play. No one wants to create an issue, that's gonna shut it down. We're just,
I was actually gonna ask, is there a fee to play this one? It's just.
not typically, it's typically sponsored by towns.
Oh, it's a better.
And run by.
Private, there's some private courses that are paid to play. Wickham Park is a private piece of property that you have to pay to get on the property, just as a hiker, or if you want to go and do it property.
So you don't pay to play around.
But there are also a couple other pay to play courses in the state, but generally if it's a public park, it's not. There are a couple of parks, Cranberry being one, pay for parking. It's a public park, but as a non-resident, you pay for parking.
So I would add that there's like portable baskets, and I have 4 at my house, my kids love playing, they're 8 and 5, and they play since they're little kids, just get out there and throw the frisbee around. I've brought them to Mystic Creek before and dog walking, what are you guys doing? And everybody's interested, everybody really wants it, and no one's ever been, why are you doing this in my space? I've never had that conversation with them in about 5 years now, so I don't see that being an issue. I guess.
Because it's well used with the trails, but, the old golf course fairways are not at all, except for where the dog, off leash area is. It's kind of interesting. I looked at this about 10 years ago. I had a seasonal that was very big into this. And we had gotten the property, you know, and I was like, what do you think? Does this work for this? We took a look at it and stuff, and we come up with a rough drawing and stuff of what might go in here. And then he didn't come back for the next season.
Oh, no.
Never really followed up
What
on
I
it.
like, what it also offers, and, I've looked at several other sites within the state. But it's helped protect the open space. There's another ball golf course down at Woodbridge. That's been in controversy for years. The town took it over. There's some foreclosure. I took it over. Residents don't want condos. They've been trying to prevent condos from going in there, but it's just it's managed by conservation. Disc golf offers a recreational opportunity that helps prevent and preserve open space.
I don't think that's an issue.
No, it's not, exactly, yeah, I think ours is the opposite.
Opposite, yeah. One thing that, I'm thinking of as far as use. You know, if any of the other parks, is there a problem or ever an issue with, you know, multiple, like, I don't know, your average resident trying to come in and be able to get on the course? And,
No, so etiquette is such that, if, a party in front of you is playing slow, you're allowed to play through, just like in ball golf. It's a courtesy. You know, if Chris is playing in front of me, he's playing slow, I'm like, hey, can we play through? We play through, and it's usually a beginner that's playing slower, so it's usually them in front of you, not behind you, because it's someone that wants to play through them. But it's just proper etiquette, and it's always,
And the flow of the courses themselves, even if you walked on and someone was on hole 1, 8 minutes later, another group can start. Another, and
yeah,
you don't need
Yeah.
a tee time per se.
yeah, I just didn't know if anybody did that or if they blocked it off like for like the school or something to say that they, it's run across, anything like that,
Yeah,
where,
so there's, we'll run events at different courses.
Yeah.
And, much like any public, park and facility, if you're running an event, you actually fill out the paperwork for and reserve the space. And so you have that space if it's, let's say the tournament's being run out there, or if a track meet's being run out there, you close down, of course, you put out a sign. The app called UDisc, you can actually publicize it in there because it might be somebody that's traveling from a different town, and they look at UDisc and it clearly says unavailable today. For whatever reason, they can put those signs out there. Like I said, there's other courses, if they travel here, there's another 20 minutes where they can go to. That might not be an event, but most people that are traveling to a course will look at UDisc to see if anything's posted, for that application event there.
And from that perspective too, Crystal Creek is unique, but there's really only two access points into the park. And an access right a little bit further down that, and you can't miss that the park is closed if you don't have this guy. This is don't really like technology.
And most of the courses that are built, there's a kiosk, that has a map, has rules and etiquette, and it has a little QR code for UDisc, which is a free app. They can download and put on their phone.
there's the tee boxes, have they kind of grown since over time? I mean, that was what I saw on there was bigger than I remember seeing.
About 3/4 the length of this table.
5 by 10. 5 by 10 is the general platform. I prefer turf. I think turf, from a safety perspective, works incredibly well. It works throughout any season. You can knock ice off of it, snow off of it. I've done one with paver pads. They can potentially get a little slippery when they're wet. If they're in a shaded area, then they grow a little algae. That needs to be treated every once in a while. Because of Crystal Creek and it's open, I think turf pads will blend in really well. And from the perspective of, playability throughout the season, that's something I prefer anyway. And like I said, it'll just blend in really well. And it's safer to, trip out. Yes.
Maureen,
Yeah.
did you have a question?
Actually, Guy asked my question.
Oh, okay.
It was
Yeah, I
about crossing the trails and actually to kind of describe what this drawing is showing us. So I guess I will ask the question anyway. So if you're at 7, you're standing here and trying to get it in a hole there?
Yes.
Okay. That's just trying to understand this.
So have you run this by Park and Rec? Other than the discussion?
So I had an initial meeting with Jen and Steve, to discuss it. They were, very, very supportive. Jen organized the meeting. My next step, if you guys approve to move forward, would be with Park and Rec to formally approve the project.
So, and is there, might this design change?
It could, in any circumstance, like I said, the first thing, that I look at is safety. And any other potential recreational, usage out there, and I've gotten a lot of that feedback, like I said, from Jen and Steve, of what's utilized out there. Steve's out there a lot, and Steve's are out there a lot. So he's been, really good about communicating what areas to stay away from and what to be concerned with. So it could change maybe a little bit, but this is a flow that I feel works really well because, you have a 9-hole loop. So kind of, if you want to play a short 9-hole loop, that Toby has the disc golf club out there, and where daylight savings time, she can go out there after school, they can do a short loop, come back at hole 9 and be out. That's not saying that hole 9 needs to finish there, because that could be, instead of 7, 8, 9, that could be 16, 17, 18. And I could revise the flow a little bit potentially, but generally these would be the areas that I would see. That would be.
Post-build feedback is big too. I mean, in Salem, in South, of course, there, it took about 6 months for people to say, I think it would be better to try and keep foot traffic and just go away from each other and get this wall there. So it took a month to kind of reset that, but we already had materials. It was just a matter of volunteers.
I do have an.
Okay, well, Carl, please.
First of all, I am in general, very much in support of something like this. As Guy said, there's a lot of places on that property that are beautiful to look at, but nobody walks there, nobody uses it. So, just a couple of things. First, I think, and this parallels what Guy said, I think we need to be very careful about, aesthetically, what those tee boxes look like, I've seen these disc golf places and usually they're pretty low key and they're pretty cool and they don't like announce themselves, right? So, that's the first thing, like, keep it kind of in, I don't know how to say this, like, let's keep the aesthetic the same. Yeah, right. Right, and the second thing is, and this is like kind of more important for us from perhaps a political perspective, we just got the leash-free area in this, on this parcel, and there's some sensitivity to that. So I think we need to be sensitive to the dog walkers and the dog owners. We might want to stay kind of away from that. Just a thought, I don't know.
Yeah, I was glad to see the split there, that I circled number 8. And just thinking like that's where the basket's gonna be, and so you're gonna have, especially if you have any experience, you may have some discs that
So as I said,
could go astray or could go kind of close to the.
first and foremost, it's always around safety. So any of the basket placements would be outside of proximity of any ability level, road,
Right.
road.
And just looking at this, that may be a little close.
Because so that scale there, it makes it look like it's close.
Well, I know.
Okay, I'm bringing it up in
Yeah.
general because
Yeah.
we've had an issue in town with
Yes.
folks' ability to.
Yep.
Well,
Exercise the dogs.
Mary Catherine.
Well,
Yeah.
No, well, no, because I've never been there. I don't use that dog park. I don't use dog parks. But anyway, it's fenced. So how can you have a disc golf if it's gonna cross a fenced in area?
Well, it looks like it's.
It's
not.
It's not, it's gonna go around it.
No, it's gonna end at one and then you walk.
So
My point was that.
So this
Right.
whole, so the dog park area is not going to be affected at all
Right.
by any discs or
There
people.
is a disc golf course down in Bridgeport that is very similar and it, actually, the course
Used
goes
to throw
around.
Used to throw over. it.
Yeah, there's a dog park fence in Main Street just like this, and the full entire course was moved around the course, or the.
Much like this, so just to
Yeah.
give you perspective, fully, that basket placement probably within 150 feet. That hole is about 270 feet. Any ability level, when you approach, if let's say you took one throw and it didn't get to the basket and you were 100 feet from that basket, you're not overthrowing it 200 feet when it's
Yeah.
only 100 feet in front of you. It's an approach shot. So generally speaking, like I said, it's all designed around safety, looking at every ability level, lowest common denominator of that basket placement depends on the hole, right? That would be a par 3 where it's not a blind shot par 4 that a bigger arm is going to go up and around that corner that potentially could go 100 feet past with a road throw. This would be within a proximity that would not affect a road throw.
My point was more of one of sensitivity. to
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Using
Oh,
that.
yeah,
area,
and
not-
just,
not,
yeah,
We're gonna knock any dog on. the
Even
head,
100
that's fine.
feet
Well,
could disturb somebody.
so the only other thing is, hole 9, is that the approach to the leash area?
That's throwing towards the road.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's where the people will be walking their dogs to
Yep.
the leash-free area,
Yep.
so they have to be
Yeah.
cognizant there,
A lot of disc golfers also bring their dogs, so a lot of people are already aware of like the relationship of people walking and their dogs. So it's,
flying objects.
yeah, and how dogs can just chase after something and how, oh my gosh, new people, dogs can run. So a lot of people are already pretty aware of that,
And
so that's nice.
Would be future to have a off-leash area for them to stop and have a sip of water. And enjoy the dog park, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
Which is, but most disc golfers are cognizant of the fact that this is an open park that has other recreational uses. They accept that fact that I'm going to be playing in and around here and I'm going to have a lot of passive hikers or dog walkers. And that's just the way it is, much like I said, Cranberry Park, Wickham Park. Most, all these other parks have hiking trails. Nichols Field has one that crosses, and actually in some unsafe areas, they've never had a controversy with that though. But there's a lot of parks with hiking trails, that most people are conscious around.
We're very good at towing this stuff.
It's fun. Once it gets built, we'll have to invite. you all out to
I've
come
got this.
back.
Go play one of your.
I did.
Right.
Maureen, you had a question?
So I think earlier you said you gave a number of the number of people that might be able to be there at a time for a competition or something, and I thought.
Much like all about 4 people per hole is etiquette.
I
Sometimes
thought I heard you say something like 78.
72.
72. Okay, so that's the number that kind of,
Yeah, you could have 72.
I have a pause there with regard to, and it's less conservation, but it's another, issue with the other users of the park and the ability to accommodate them with the parking and other issues. I think, and this is directed more to the commission, that, I'm not sure I'd encourage a motion at this time to endorse it necessarily without further vetting. I think there's some unanswered questions about the multiple uses, the way the park works, overall, some of those details that you have been asked about, and making sure that there's more, substantial information with regard to that, before, not that I wouldn't say if, you were, inclined to think this is doable, there is to encourage further vetting and proceeding without, them wasting their time and money. I guess that's where I'm drawing a fine line there in the endorsement, and the fact that there will be other, we have to figure out all the steps that would need to be taken through the town departments and other commissions, town council, funding. I think you have another
Funding, parking,
funding,
access,
parking, and the actual physical improvements, like on a plan for those physical improvements, actually seeing them. I mean, obviously I study site plans all the time. So I am matter of looking at those details, and
As well.
so that's, yeah, so those are the things that we want to make sure that what is understood is what comes to fruition, should that be.
Yeah, I think we're all encouraged by the concept. I think you're gonna spend a lot more time at Park and Rec. And I suspect if this changes, then we want to see that, what the change or the modification would be too. And as Maureen says, there's a lot of commissions and departments that this has got to go through, all the way up. Planning and zoning's got to have the final say before it even gets to the town council for final approval. So this is one step along the way, but I think sounds like everybody's in agreement.
I think
This
it's
is,
a cool
it's
idea.
an idea.
Just, yeah.
Some more
We've dealt
detail.
with other towns before, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you know that there's, it's gonna be, several steps to get it through.
To get the residents.
And
I think it was Park and Rec was kind of looking for the guide before they invested.
And I just have a question. I really, and I'm confused. I thought that Pistol Creek was the one property that Conservation Commission really didn't have a say over.
Oh, we don't have a sale.
Which is why, well, I'm just saying that when it came to the dog park, it was the only place to put it because it wasn't under the auspices of conservation. So I don't know if conservation really
No,
has to have any,
that's
part in
that's
that.
not why the dog park was put there, but that's, so it's kind of a hybrid. We're involved when it becomes passive recreation.
like the
Walking,
paths.
like-
and
yeah, like the
walking and
paths.
hiking.
This is kind of a hybrid because the way it was acquired originally, what it was initially,
Mhm.
when it was in private hands. So that's kind of why it's being passed through
Okay.
our board too.
Yeah.
Or Park and Rec would have the, they have the ultimate
Right.
biggest say
And
in it,
I think there may be some kind of
because it's active.
things evolving as far as with the town as far as what we control and what we don't.
But
You know,
always,
if we read through the plan of conservation and development, it's like it's supposed to weigh in on any kind of open space and for other properties. And yet in the past, there's been times that we've been told, it's open space, if town council tells us that it's open space. And that's well, and then,
Well, and the great thing about like disc golf is the tee bag, a basket. Right, very easy.
that's why we asked the question about the
So
impact.
if there is a concern with a hole because we didn't anticipate something that wasn't brought up with any of your concerns. And there's a resident that may be utilizing the property and with other residents, and there's concerns because of things can be really greater use of tee pads and like I said, baskets are really simple.
Well, one of my thought here is it's the old plan of conservation and development talked about people utilizing these parcels, right? And here's an opportunity for people to utilize unutilized parts of these.
More than just walking down.
Yeah, and not only that,
Yeah.
but nobody's walking up the old sand traps
Right.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
As long as,
Well,
yeah, and we're not knocking anybody in the head with frisbees. The dog walkers aren't gonna say, hey, listen, you sent us here. And now you're doing something else, and there's enough parking this morning, so.
And the parking concern, just the 72 people can potentially be on a course. In my 7 years, outside of a tournament,
Right.
you're never coming. The most popular course is maybe a 30 cars. It's never full
On a good day.
on a good day.
Yeah. And budget wise, I mean. It's reasonable.
Yeah.
It's from a recreational perspective, the cost is almost, it's almost a no-brainer for what you're getting.
Yeah.
For the amount of money, in the recreational activity, how many people can you get through in a day? That's the most attractive, and Jen was very supportive of that. And I think Steve mentioned someone else's name in town that's raised a lot of money to do a lot of different things. He's like, oh, I forgot his name. He's like, Jim can raise that money in a heartbeat, in town here, so. Didn't seem like funding was a concern.
But it's always a concern.
Yeah.
If you wanted narrow fairways. We're looking
That's
for.
rugged.
You'll never bother another dog walker there.
I mean, disc golf is interesting. It could be the most torrential terrain you could walk up, but then you're not gonna get your beginner players. Right. Really the idea, especially with some of the AV capabilities, Crystal Creek is perfect.
Yeah, those all sound like real good ideas.
Don't get me wrong, some of us would love to be playing at Ragged Mountain.
Yeah.
Besides those trails, but at the same time.
I'll just sign it.
That's
I
it,
can't bring
yeah.
the wheelchair students, I'm sorry.
And I think it's a great idea, so, yeah. Get prepared for the Park and Rec. I'm sure they'll have a public session there too. You might have to address neighbors.
So do we not need a motion then, or?
I Again, that's up to you. We said a lot of,
To continue along.
You want a motion to
We'll have
continue,
or Whatever.
contingent upon any modifications that we would see this again,
That we want to see again.
so. How would you say that?
I think you just did, but.
I know. but-
You got that, right?
Can you read that?
You said it before first.
motion to continue.
Encourage.
Yeah. Make a motion to encourage the group to, continue to further, meet with other needed town personnel and commission,
And we
and,
like the concept.
we like the concept,
They'll
yeah.
support the concept.
and encourage further, to follow
Vetting.
up with this.
Vetting, that's the-
And ultimately for us to be able to see a final product before we do a format.
It's like 15 independent clauses.
I'll
second it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carl. Any other?
Gotta be able to
comments?
say it though.
No.
I want to receive it.
No,
No.
Marlo.
we'll read it later.
I'll-
All
I'll
in
look
favor
at- I'll
of
look
that,
at it.
guy's
Aye.
motion? Aye. So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, well,
It's a
support,
great idea.
keep going, keep going. Sounds great.
Where can we put these chairs for?
I'll just-
Yeah,
Just leave them.
Thank you.
Thank you all
Thanks
for
for
that.
coming. Okay.
I haven't fed my husband and he's just getting over surgery.
Oh,
Oh,
go ahead. What nice.
He's getting cranky. So
We-
Sorry.
I know the
can't
feeling.
leave her.
Really close to the end.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mary Catherine.
Yeah.
That was a lot different than what I had thought it was gonna be. So, yeah, I'm in support. So is there anything on this, Four Rod Road
Um,
that, is pertinent to us?
So Four Rod Road, not really. It's gone through, so it's complete sheet metal, built a new building,
Yeah.
a few years back in front of 500 Four Rod, next to where the new, sports facility, or the
Okay.
new basketball place is going. They went through the process, built the building. They then began construction of an addition to the building
Is this it?
and got stopped. Yes, that's
Is there
it.
any more impervious
It's-
surface?
Well, they added a
Yeah.
concrete pad
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
beyond
sorry.
what was approved in their initial plan. They have since,
Yeah, we looked. at
they
this
got,
and it was-
I thought you got,
When they
when
had the
they-
pad, it was just a
when they
pad.
did
Oh,
the
that's not a
pad.
building. Yeah.
oh, did they get approval for the pad? I'm not sure
don't
they
think
ever
so.
got
I
approval
think
for the
somebody-
pad.
yeah, you or-
So
drove
we
by.
did a stop work order on them, or the building department did. They've now gone to wetlands and gotten the approval. There's a wetland to the north of the property, north along that edge. And again, I doubt that you have anything, but with the open area to the north, I wanted to make sure you saw.
Thank you. No comment. Right.
We do have just for the record, we do have a couple of upcoming text amendments and things that I didn't have routed to you guys.
And
uh,
we're gonna have.
Things I didn't think of back
and
then.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
We also got today in the mail, I don't know if you saw the email, something from the mountain bike people.
Yes,
So we're gonna put that probably on the agenda for
next month.
next
Okay.
month.
Yeah, I didn't feel I could add it.
I brought a copy of that.
I
Yeah.
didn't feel I could add it tonight because it wasn't posted on the agenda and I thought for public,
Yeah. I don't think
public
it's gonna be an
notice,
issue.
it should
No.
be on the agenda
Of
that
course, of
people,
course.
that the public can see. It shouldn't-
My point was, that I don't know if there, I don't know who.
No,
else.
I saw it.
Okay.
Thank you. That, and, was there anything else on the gardens you glossed?
So,
over?
yeah, Mary Catherine added the community garden to the agenda. I wanted to,
Well, it should always be on the use of town lands, actually. It should be an open item.
yeah, we thought we didn't have anything with regulation to the garden, and then all of a sudden recalled that it's time to open up the garden for this year's applications and get those posted. So, Caitlin today updated the garden application and that should be it. Nope, that's 2000. It should be this one. No, that's not it. I'm in the wrong folder.
It was the one above it. It said
It did?
2024.
Oh, okay, hopefully. There we go. So we'll have the date for March 1st for people to returning gardeners to request their same plot. And then we'll assign the rest of the plots in the order that the applications, whether they arrive before or after March 24th, March 1st, will start providing new gardeners plots if they
So
aren't
we can go
taken.
with that.
Yeah, but those are the dates. And then Woody gave us the dates it'll open. They're coordinating, the garden open from April 1st through November 3rd. Again, the first Sunday of November, and that coordinates with the porta potty deliveries and removals.
It does.
Carol Gooden did, reply that she requested the garden stay open later. I responded to her that staff would not encourage that, in that we like it to coordinate with the facility, grounds needs to be able to do the things they need to do in the fall. So that's really a good date for them. And we've been accommodating when there's, bad weather the week before, and we end up having to keep it open a little longer if it's necessary, or it's been, those
80 degrees.
80-degree weathers, and there's still things being harvested. We also changed the statement that had to do with the well to not be about locking the pump anymore, because they don't have that, but now instead to make sure that they aren't using the well for dripping and irrigation, because that's damaging the well, and a couple people were doing that evidently. So that got put in as I agree not to do. And I think there was one other tweak like that. And we are making sure that the map, again, that I think last month, somebody mentioned that they didn't think the map was correct. Carol indicated that a couple of the plots that are reserved, are usually used for Upbeat or whomever, that social services, that's them now. That they actually were a different plot, and just the labels need to be switched around a little.
So you may wanna put the drip irrigation is not permitted in bowling.
As a new,
Yeah.
okay,
They may
the
wanna-
changed rules bolded,
Yeah, and they may wanna put a little sign right on the pump too.
and I think there is one.
'Cause I never thought that, but I understand. So, well,
It was April 1st to November what?
Third.
3rd.
And the other thing was the composting, because we had a barrel and now we have that contained area. So just switch up the wording of where the compost goes, simple things like that. So, but I wanted to update you, make sure that the commission is good with those dates, and maybe even a motion to use those dates. Do you ever do that? I think you do that. Okay.
Second? Guy seconded,
No, Carl.
called it? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Dates in the garden? Aye. Thank you.
And change of rules,
Thank
right?
you.
And change of rules.
Yes, you said that.
Word.
Okay.
And then the only other thing I had is we've had several complaints with regard to encroachments into conservation easement areas that have escalated to multiple levels throughout the town hall. Our zoning officer, Polly, is doing, I think, a great job of trying to resolve issues and or look into the history and figure out whether it be restoration plans or what have you. But we have two specific that are hot, but I'll tell you about several that we have, and I'll just run them down because you might know of them, hear about them, or otherwise want to call them to our attention. So let you know, we already have them in our attention. We have, the easement areas along West Lane that go along with the Wickland open space subdivision, the new houses over there at Nature's Edge. We have a couple of people, so newer subdivisions, and this has happened since for at least 10 years, if not longer. You used to have the signs, or you had one time had the signs made that we made sure the developer had put up at the edge before COs. We're very deliberate with making sure before you get a CO for your house, that sign is up. And I'm actually asking the developers to put up those signs now, and we had been having them put the silt fence along the easement line, not into the woods with the silt fence before construction. Now we're asking the signs generally in most instances go up before construction, before permit, the sign there, so that, but they certainly won't get their CO until the sign is up. So the new owner knows they can't encroach on the area. That said, we have found within a not extended period of time after the houses are occupied, the signs are gone.
Get out.
So-
Recently occupied, they're pretty new, right?
Those are that subdivision is only a couple years, a few years old.
Hard to believe
And
right
the
now.
third phase, I think, might only be a year or two old. And they're still constructing in the third phase.
Okay.
So Polly is working on it. And
Right. We've been discussing this issue.
we're still trying to get those signs and
Decades.
it's getting them then
Well-
installed. And we're working with Bob from Vital. He sent us another
I know,
email
but we
this
talk
week.
About something that's more like.
Oh,
stem-
okay, so that's what I was
Work-
going to
work
say.
this.
The
Maybe
newer
we don't put it
subdivisions.
With a grass.
The newer subdivisions we have, I'm asking the planning and zoning commission to ask the developers to put in, much like they did up near Pistol Creek at the corner of Savage Hill, that subdivision on the corner right there. He put in actual stone monuments, like he built stone walls, really is what he built with a plaque on them. And he's going to be doing that. Was it him or, no, I believe it's the Honeyman
All right, but
on,
you to ask for.
on High
4x4.
Road is going to do that as well.
the-
A stone,
Well,
like a monument,
right.
like a monument you would find for, okay, that'll be another option. We like the big, makes it a wall.
Yeah, but you can't count on it.
But and they have been, we've gotten in several locations
Okay.
in the last 5 years.
Yeah, because a
because-
post, a 4x4 post with a metal sign on it is just walk right off.
So perhaps change the regulation,
Yes,
ask for a text amendment.
a permanent marker. Similar to a corner of the lot or whatever. Imagine that.
So, I'm sorry, this is taking me a minute. And I know Kate has it too, I mean, Marlo has it too, but, so that's West Lane. Brittany's Path, the lot at the end, I think I brought this to your attention last year, the lot at the end. The property owner that bought the last lot on Brittany's Path, that's off Ice Pond, in East Berlin, also owns the property to the south of it and cut a swath of a trail, a swath of opening. We met with him as well as his engineer. Last year, the engineer did develop a restoration plan. We've asked them to beef that up and they're supposedly working on it with the intent of planting in the spring. And that'll be a restoration plan. They may be coming in. Now, you might recall that subdivision, and you might not recall, but that subdivision is DeCormier Woods. And it has, open space or conservation area wrapping around the entire, it was an open space subdivision, so it has open space wrapping all the way around it, and this is on the far southerly side of it. But he may be asking,
Is encroaching.
no, those are actually, so far, the new houses
Okay,
there
okay.
appear to be good.
Okay.
It's this,
They
this
will.
lack of this property at the end, not built on yet,
No, I understand that.
and
was
I
just
get
saying,
what,
it's inevitable.
and that one, he is requesting, or I'm sure confident will be requesting that he be allowed a path through to between his properties so that he doesn't have to go around the streets and, to there, because it's family, all integrated and his farm. Anyway, I've been warned of that. Watch Hill, I think that's been a problem in the past. That seems the problems there of the kids going into the woods in the center island of Watch Hill. And they were witnessed building a track for their bikes and taking down trees and the issues there seem to have subsided. So that
And
we're
that's-
monitoring, but it
That
seems
Center Island is town property?
It's conservation area. I
Yeah,
don't
so
know that
I
it's,
remember commenting on that. It's crazy. What?
An island as you're coming in, uphill?
no, the houses are all around.
The middle part?
Yeah,
Oh, you never hiked there? It's awesome.
Plus we have the little area,
Yeah, that's why we considered it.
we have that little patch, but it's hard to, nobody know it. To get there into the development.
I thought they were gonna say sump area at the front.
so. There's conservation lines in here.
Okay.
And then this is a town property. There's a line that there's, I think there's other conservation area around it
Right,
as
there's,
well.
and then.
I
there's
just
one
don't
that
know.
Goes between that those two properties to bring you to the most, yeah, right there.
Right here,
No,
here,
Black line.
to the left, the black.
this one, yeah.
But
yeah.
to look at it.
Again,
it's like
this
if
wasn't
you're
the,
Walking through somebody's yard.
this was not the one we had the issue, where we had the issue. We had an issue with some of the kids that lived in these houses creating a bike trail through there.
Yeah.
That was,
I thought they were gonna do it in the sump area in the front there and
so that one we think is under control at this
Well,
point,
that,
and
that is a back line to the property, there's an easement there? the
Mhm.
town has?
Yeah.
Oh,
the town of the homeowner.
my favorites.
I don't think we have a layer for that.
So,
We do have others, but the two that are, did you want to comment on any of those?
no.
Okay, we
I was
do
gonna
have,
to move Down the map.
Oh.
That's a little,
go ahead.
cause how accurate would you say these maps are?
The lot lines?
Yeah,
It depends. Some places they're extremely accurate, other places they have to be justified.
'cause if you go down just a little bit more
Where you headed?
to
This
the
house.
house property.
Oh, on Orchard, you brought that up before, right? Was it that-
Um,
Are you over here somewhere?
Yeah, that goes behind those houses. They
This
don't-
one?
They don't own, no, they don't own the street, right?
This one?
Yeah.
In here? Oh, that, yeah,
I'm
I
looking
wouldn't
at-
be
I'm
able
looking at
to
the
say.
screen now. He went in there with a big machine.
Rush cut.
One of these properties,
Yeah, the little.
this one?
Just on his part, just on his continuation? Yeah. Oh, so, yeah. Gonna put another pen back there or something.
I don't know, that's a picture, looks nice.
Yes. I've always used that.
well, they
That's why I
sure
thought,
haven't gotten that stream flowing though, I'll give
Oh,
them that.
man, I'm
yeah.
worried about that. But I mean, it's a-
Although I
it's
think although I think the beavers are still down.
No,
below.
No, they're gone now.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, I know, okay.
but it's still backed up a lot. But that's an incredible, animal corridor. Which you would never know. I mean,
I know
I have the camera out there and it's amazing.
You
I've got
talked about that
foxes
last
and
year one day.
bobcats, Coyotes every week now. going through.
So he doesn't invite you to sit there, is that why you, that's
He did. Well, yeah, well, that's why it's complaining,
That's why he said-
that's right, yeah.
I
we
used
never
to know- I mean,
extended
it's like,
the
I
invitation.
don't know, it's just that, I've been there a long time. There's been a line there, which I assumed was correct. And then it just all disappeared.
Okay, so now we have the two that are the egregious issues we're dealing with now, are the issues we're hearing a lot about right now. And we've been working on for a number of months. One is Walden Court. That's off Middletown Road. It's a design open space development. And the easement again wraps all the way around the property. The two unit owners at least two of the unit owners at the far south end, so the end of the cul-de-sac, have cleared into the conservation easement area and have seemingly got permission to do so from the homeowners association. So now, of course, they're on the homeowners association too. It's not a really large development. So the zoning officer has sent out enforcement notices to them. And at least the one owner has come in to talk about some rectifying, but at the same time got permission from the homeowners association. So anyway, the order went to both the owner and the homeowners association. And we are gonna imagine that we would want a restoration plan, and we'll probably be asking once we get it for the commission to look at it.
Okay.
Again, they're pretty on that one, and I'm not sharing. And that seems to be an issue in a number of locations where we have encroachments. So I just am gonna get to the property in general and show that we get down to the end. There's this, there's all, the line is somewhere around here. So this owner has cleared a little more than is current, the engineering tech and Polly went out, and this owner has definitely cleared a good portion of the land that's in the conservation area. So this one seemed compliant, these seemed compliant without them actually surveying the distance, but the property line is at at a rock wall, so they could measure the distance right off the rock wall to clear, to where.
So, so that line, so the line behind them. Well, that's why the permanent marker goes on. So Maureen, thank you for keeping us apprised of this, but so you know I bug you about this all the time. Now that you are upstaffed, we need
The map.
the map of all the easement properties.
We're working on. We've been working with New England
create
GL.
fire.
We've been, that's what
Is that-
we're working on.
You could
We're
send him to
working
every
on
one
it.
of those properties, and that'd be the only thing he'd be doing.
It
I
would be
guarantee
the
you-
only thing he'd be doing.
I guarantee you, they're all encroaching.
We do have, we have a map that has been started.
He did talk
and-
about it.
The other issue we have, and I actually wanted to share these on the screen
Cool.
because I wanted them on the record.
I'm sorry,
But
before we leave that topic, did, and any new developments that get approved, I know there's not a lot of them, but Wicklands, that you just talked about off West Lane, is that being GIS in real time now? So that one you won't have to go back to do, you know what I'm saying?
it should be. I don't work directly with New England Geo very often. Like, we have the map, it's on these areas are on maps. The problem is what they extrapolated when they're easements as opposed to a separate parcel, because their
So can you
their
guys
work
have a
was
meeting with them?
based, yeah, we've tried, but it's one of those where we're working through a lot of
Yeah.
maps for them.
Well, I know,
So,
but now each new
and-
subsequent development, that's good, more work, you need to figure it out.
We hope they're getting, but I can't say for sure. I know we've all discussed it with the departments and that meet with them.
They need something in.
I
writing.
haven't
They
had to meet with them recently.
need to
I haven't
require
had that
it
ability.
to Be added to their contract or whatever, it's just gotta be a requirement.
Because when they're a separate parcel, they're definitely on there. So these are when they're an
But-
easement on the subdivision map, and really, we can't. The contract we have with them doesn't cover them doing that research. We have to have a staff person
So they call
or
it
an
a separate
intern
contract, but they
or
can't
something
change-
else.
Change the category to easement,
We can try.
okay. All right, that's beyond my pay grade over there, but wait, it just seems a shame that we keep adding stuff without knowing.
I think it's not on the visible map I believe there are maps that have it, but not on the map that we have carry on the GIS.
That's our problem.
And that's where it needs to be.
50 years of recent developments that are all over the place. May or may not be in the, filed in the town clerk's, the assessment.
No, that's where they're getting them from. And we're working diligently, actually, she's been working on this for days, and only started a couple weeks ago on going back to make sure that the easements were filed that go with them, because for instance, we have the one on Great Oak. It is binding that it's on the subdivision map, that it's to be deeded to the town, so that is binding by statute, that it's to the town, but it's not transferred to the town, and Great Oak is 20 years old or more, 30 years old. Oh, Knollwood.
All right, I don't want to beat you. but more on that.
So we're trying to reconcile those older ones at the same time as moving forward. And kind of doing it together to the best of our ability. The other one we have is Silver Island.
Hmm.
There,
Yeah.
yes,
Country.
and it had all come into compliance. And they were working within their management plan, and a number of years ago, we were advised that that the bond related to that settlement when it was developed was fine to go because of the way that bond was held. Now we have homeowners along the river side or the lake side, that have removed the screening to the lake. If you don't mind, I am just gonna take that half a second to get this on here because I really want this conversation here. So here you'll see, looking between a couple of units on the north side of the property, and I'm sorry, I don't have the unit numbers in front of me, but you come around, if you drive in, you take the loop to the right and you drive up, and the lake is to the north, obviously. These are the north side of the loop, and you can clearly see the lake. That was not the case when I started working with the town, that you can clearly see the lake. And there is a conservation easement or buffer that goes around the entire property.
What
I
kind
know.
of stuff that we had trouble with early on?
This is,
Yeah.
this is from the boat launch, looking towards, these were I believe the two units I was looking through right there. And this, you can see that, for instance, here is approximately the amount of brush and et cetera. But as you move to the side, it's been cleared. The management plan clearly defines that there are things that can be removed, the underbrush, the poison ivy, there's, a bunch of things that are identified as plants that can regularly be
That's what we said.
removed. And then there's provisions for I'm sorry, there are provisions for the trees. And if you take down a tree, replacing and at what ratio and what sizes and et cetera. So you can see by this picture, clearly some of them have done more clearing than others. There's additional pictures as, you can see further over. And this has been brought up to town council as well during their audience of citizens. So I indicated I would be bringing it to Conservation Commission. Jim Horville's bringing it to the Wetlands Commission to their next meeting, and all of us working together on enforcement and restoration presumably.
It's an
The good
upland
thing about that,
recovery,
right, I mean, the good thing about that is that that was pretty well defined, as I recall.
Yeah, there was a settlement. that they had to hire-
It was, and that's where the agreements came in. But
So
you
this
can,
one's pretty clear.
And you can see over here, these units haven't really encroached. I mean, it's a greater distance here, but so it is denser, more dense because it has more depth, but it's not a lot more dense.
There's a leak. It's gone off going down that hill now.
Yeah. Big couple of big storm events, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden the shoreline's
Yeah,
gonna be up against their deck.
Like a couple of pouring
Right.
rainstorms.
We have gotten conflicting information with regard to who said what could be removed. And where the staff, multiple staff departments are working through that. And again, another
That's what I said.
conflict with the homeowners association maintaining these. And I think a lot of, learning curve has happened, from the 1990s when you first got some of these easements to the way the language is written, for current proposals. So that's where I'm at. If anybody has any information with regard to any background on easement areas or any, direction, you can point any of the staff on to do research. We'd appreciate it just because we are learning about things that happened 20 and 30 years ago that we
this is-
weren't really here for.
This is
Newer.
This is newer.
But
Yeah,
again, it's
somebody,
still the settlement pre-existed
Yeah, but
anybody
that's
in our
different. But
department.
A standard conservation easement means that at this line, you stop.
Yeah, oh no, we've
There's
got
no
that.
language
We've,
that stipulates anything beyond that, right?
I think, and again, I haven't gotten advice from Corporation Council on it yet, but I do think that who manages or who they have to answer to, may be something that should be reconsidered when looking at the, accepting new spaces. Having the easement held by the town as opposed by a homeowners association. Things like that, that really are
Yeah, but
give
having a homeowner.
a homeowners association that
doesn't
says that,
Any legal, document or that's it. It's just another
right, but the
entity.
homeowner who might go to a homeowners association to get permission to take down the tree because it says they have to go to the homeowners association for permission.
Yeah.
And could potentially think that that's all they have to do. And that there's not yet another document, they're not not every homeowner is well versed in land use issues.
What did they say about ignorance? of the
So-
law?
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
Yeah,
But,
They told me to do it. I know.
and so
I'm not convinced.
I think there's an issue, and even some of the hierarchy on homeowners associations, do they know what they are? Again, their naivety, is no excuse, but it means it's already gone before we find out about
Right,
it,
well,
because somebody gave permission. I'd rather them come in and ask in our offices, so we can say, no, you can't, before they do it. So I think if there's a way to, work on the language when we're accepting.
Yeah.
When the town is accepting language, it would be beneficial to the town.
Add a sentence or two that
It's-
the easement area is restricted. It's not allowed, period.
And at the same time, again, we are seeing more boldness than I've seen before with regard to property owners doing, rather ask for forgiveness instead of permission. That seems to be a theme that we're seeing in other areas as well, including businesses moving in the wrong zones. Like, we're seeing it in a lot of places, so.
Right, and then they complain, so this is bad. So that, which is another reason, this is not the example, but like when you Watch Hill, I know that's a 20-year-old, 25-year-old development, but they knew of open space in most cases on those developments is better than having to deal with this stuff. It's little to no value to the town for any of that stuff. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
No. Okay,
So, sorry to bring down a positive meeting with with the bad news at the end, but I really feel like you were on.
wasn't the end.
yeah, I got one more thing.
Uh-uh.
I've had a thought about how to deal with this anyway, but, just an update from the, implementation committee. At our first meeting. Joan Lee is the chairperson for the, implementation. I think we still have to figure out exactly what the committee is gonna do. They talked about, like, kind of keeping track of the different progress on the, on their list, 20-page list of, goals and strategies. But that you can pick out topics that you think are important to try to push and everything. We spent a lot of time talking about affordable housing and elderly housing and issues that are coming up with the town. But as a summary of the end of the report, and kind of the implementation summary, it's divided into two big sections. One's environmental related and one's development related. Conservation Commission is listed as either a lead or a partner in different items. In that part of in the environmental section, 27 items. 18 is a lead, 9 is a partner. So there's a lot of things that we've been identified as responsible for a lead on or that. And then even on the development side, there are 5 items. 1 is a lead and 4 is partnering with other entities. So what I've done is to take the pages out of the copies of that summary that's at the back of the book and highlighted the ones that Conservation Commission is listed in. I'm thinking I'll just scan these or something
Yeah, email to us.
and then attach them to an email, because they're all highlighted so that we can go through and people can see what the individual items are, because under a strategy, it's like protection, acquisition of open space. Well, there's there's 9 different things, and they really vary on what it contains. So you have to see the details on it.
I know what you're thinking.
No, sir, I'm not thinking that taxation without representation.
But,
That's exactly what I was thinking,
But
It's nice though.
isn't it?
yeah, and a fair number of those are high priority kind of issues too. And some of them potentially expand our role. Or could be interpreted.
Or misconstrued our role.
So I think it's gonna be important for us, all the members to know what.
Absolutely.
I'd be happy to see that and to comment on it.
Yeah, and I think that the best way to get that out is I'll scan them, take a picture, whatever, and then add them to an email or probably send them.
You can do it through our
Yeah,
office.
yeah.
And you can even come in and we can
Yeah.
scan it, when you have it in a form you want,
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
send it
Have
as a
go
group
out.
email.
Yeah,
Does that constitute a meeting if we?
It's
Not if I send information, you can't then talk about
Okay.
it. By
I mean,
email,
it's not-
you can't really have the back and
Back and
forth.
forth.
Unless
We
we come
can-
back to it.
We can distribute the information at the time prior to a meeting
right.
and
I mean,
then.
it's like what we get ahead of, we get the agenda. we get
So it
the-
is best really if it comes from from
Yeah.
the staff level or
Yeah,
town
so
email.
I'll get that to you. Okay,
Thank you.
but I figured that.
And even if you come in, we can color scan it. We
Okay.
can, we can
Yeah.
create the file here
Yeah.
if that's easier for you, if you want to put together the email, forward it with the attachments and forward it to me or send it to me, I can then forward it
Yeah,
out to
I might- I
everyone.
might just do that.
You communicating directly with the whole commission creates that
Right, yeah,
quorum problem.
right.
Have a meeting without us,
Yeah.
or without a meeting, without notice.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at that for next meeting.
Yeah.
Marlo, could you please remember, you have to add,
Election.
election of election of officers next, month.
What, we already do that?
No, it's January.
It's always the February.
February meeting.
Oh, I can't make a motion right now.
Yeah, I know.
I make a motion to add that to.
I missed it. I was gonna say, it seemed like I just got nominated for that. That was the other one. That was the implementation.
If any of you,
You didn't have-
I don't think I have word, but if any of your terms are expiring and you did not send in your form, please make sure Christie has it if you intend to stay on the commission.
Is that it right there?
Guy, Mary Catherine are the 2024s
My new card.
Wait,
and Mary Cath.
expired, so you already did it?
They already reappointed?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wait, you
okay.
already reappointed you?
I thought, so, yeah, I thought.
Oh.
Oh.
I think
Maybe
they do,
not.
I
Oh,
think
that
that's
was 10 years
tonight.
ago, bro.
No,
We've been
no,
here for a
no.
while.
they didn't.
I believe that's either
Tonight?
tonight or the
Okay,
next,
tonight
and
then.
usually
Yeah,
it's the
no,
next
same
council meeting.
implementation, but I
Actually, they
got the
use, they,
other one on.
Oh, you had to get a card for that?
And I had to do, I did both of them. I had to send it.
Raise both hands?
Yeah.
I believe it's usually at the last
So
January
if
meeting that
if
they try to
if they
really
wanna
wait.
Take me
for-
off the implementation committee
Oh, no, we can't have that. So. was
by
that
not
4-year terms?
reappointing me, but.
There's a couple that are, no, less, so maybe that's the alternate.
It must be 4 because Carl, yours expires in 28.
Well, that's
So,
gonna be it for me. I'm.
Wait,
telling you guys
it can't
right
be
now.
4
Oh,
years.
it's for me,
Sorry?
I'm already.
oh, well, here, wait a minute.
2028.
Two alternates, 5-year terms.
Oh, so it was reached last year,
I
okay.
think.
5-year
I put out in
terms.
97.
6.
Oh, you're 5. Oh, 5.
You're only 5 years old, yeah, I know, that's what,
That's pretty funny.
that's what it feels like.
Feels like I turned 5 when this meeting started.
Yeah,
Sorry, Ted.
we always scare the new person that comes in.
It really does happen because this meeting is not usually.
Yeah, usually-
She should have been here about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
They had to stop the tape.
They filled her in on that one too.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's
Certain members of-
Okay.
8:44.
Motion to adjourn, seconded by,
Oh,
First, second,
Yeah.
I already.
oh, you
did.
already got it, all in
Yeah.
favor? Aye, thank
shut
you.
that off, then we're gonna start really talking about.